So the learning objectives of today, networking. The idea of networking is you need to have an idea about what you want to do for networking. You need to think about the approach for networking, possibly adjusting your existing strategy. Now that could be where if you have in mind, perhaps you want to change career, you want to reach out to people to change career, or if you're new to networking as well. We're also going to be looking at building your confidence during the session today, thinking of ways to reach out to people, but in a professional way. Also, how to implement that strategic networking plan, whether that is online or offline, and also to manage relationships. This is a long-term basis. This is long-term. It's not something, that you should be doing only if you're looking at changing jobs. So that's the kind of the learning objectives for today. Now, on screen, there are two definitions of what networking is. So I'm just going to give you a moment just to read these definitions, and then we can go into this in more detail. Okay, so
it would be interesting, Helen, to ask
yes,
some of the students and alumni, what do they think about networking?
Yes. So when you hear networking, you might cringe, you might feel very uncomfortable with networking in itself. People may think that, that you're just asking people for favors, using them as a stepping stone, to maybe change career, etc. So we're hoping that these points that you see will let you see networking from a different perspective, look at it differently. So this could be, it's a single point of common ground, you're building relationships. It's a two-way process. It's not one-sided at all. You can ask them, how can I help you? And they do the same for yourself. Now, you may already network. Already, you may not realize it, but you do. So in your work, with clients, with colleagues, when you're in events, when, if you deal with suppliers, etc. It could be that, that you want to change career, and, or, that you're maybe going from one industry to another, or you just, you're moving up the ladder and you may not know the connections that you would like to. So during the session today, we're hoping that this will very much allow you to see that, to understand that side of it as well.
Before we proceed, Helen, I would like to perhaps ask everyone a question. Sure. What is one common mistake that all of you have done today since you joined the session?
Didn't switch on the camera, I guess.
That's very right. We are in a networking session. So, Mustafa, if you want to network with everyone else, the first thing that you want to do is turn your camera on so that Ala, Suleiman, and everyone else who's in the session can put the name to the face. And that's easier when we see you next time. We can know that this is Mustafa, oh, we've met before. This is Ala, we've met before. So even if we are in a time now where people can network virtually, it's really very important. And that's rule number one, is to turn your cameras on.
Very much. Thank you, Hiba.
Thank you.
So moving on to the next slide. So there are three forms of networking. You have the operational, personal, and strategic. Now, possibly from the operational side, this is something you're already doing, working, your everyday work, you're working in teams, how to effectively do your work, do your job. Also on the operational level with, friends, family, perhaps if you have a mentor, And even with your fellow MBA peers,
junior school theoretical interviews are tomorrow.
You would be networking. This is something that you have done, for a good number of years. You may do it every day. You may not realize that you do it every day. What we're going to concentrate on today is the strategic element, though. This is networking with a purpose, with an intention. So that is, it could be, as we've mentioned, like you're going for promotion, you're looking at opening your own business, changing career. It's thinking about that strategic side of it for your future, for your priorities, for challenges as well. And I know I keep mentioning it, but how you can help them and how they can help you. Now, one of the things which you may already have, if not, then certainly by all means start to look at it, is to map, to take document of your strategic network already. This is about your current connections, the relationships that you already have, and the warmer connections, the warmer leads that you would have. Not just that though, think about the gaps that you would have in your network. This could be where you are looking to do that new job, to change your career. It shouldn't just be because you are changing jobs. It's someone and people that you can reach out to on the long-term basis. Now, what I would like to do now is to ask you a question, and you can put your comments in the chat box if you would like, or please feel free to unmute yourself. And if you're happy to do that. But the question is, what makes networking difficult for you? It could be anything from knowing who to reach out to, who are the right people. It could be time. You might find that you don't have the time. It may even just be that you just don't feel confident to network. So just
tell us in the chat box.
Yeah, put your comments in the chat box.
Put your comments. Let's see what's most challenging.
Exactly.
We'd love to see, we quite often when we speak to our students and alumni, they were like, networking, this is not for me. This is something that I feel difficult in doing. And quite often, we look at students, they join the MBA program, they find one group, they start off with the first, let's say, course, which is leading managing global environment. They work together, and we find this group wanting to work together in the next module and the next and the next, and they don't really network or branch out to learn more about other people. So today we want to encourage you to get out of your comfort zone and tell us what's the most challenging thing for you in networking. So we'll see some responses, Helen.
Yeah. So Mustafa is saying following up after networking, following up after the networking session. Absolutely, this can be very difficult, and we will cover that side of it during the session. Martina is saying managing time between networking events and family, definitely. You do need to take the time out. It's an ongoing process, to have that networking connection. Bino is saying that the biggest challenge is don't know how to start, definitely. And also Ibtisam, not being able to do general small talk with people. That very much reminds me of myself, I have to say. I have found networking very uncomfortable to a certain point. You get to a certain point, when you're in the room, whether that's, physically or online, and you ask your questions, but then you feel that it kind of comes to a standstill. You think, oh, where do I go now? So we will cover all of that kind of side of it during the session as well. And let me just see what else we have. Again, Bino is saying a conversation when you approach a small group of people. A tip for this is to maybe just approach one or two people to start with, because then you're more likely to be able to open up the conversation rather than being in with a great big crowd of people where it can perhaps feel a little overwhelming for you.
Yes, so start with people that you know, or even smaller groups.
Yes.
Don't go and then, you know, if you find a big group of people talking and they're busy, you know, discussing something, try to find other groups, smaller groups, or people standing alone. Also, I wanted to comment on Mustafa when he said that following up after networking, it's a fundamental rule that when you network with someone, you have to send a message or an email or a note within 24 hours.
Yes.
And if you don't do that, you've lost the connection. So this is something which is absolutely important for you all. When you have connected with someone, to make sure that you message them, email them, contact them, anything. It's just that it was nice seeing you yesterday. I enjoyed the conversation, something really basic. It doesn't have to be a long email, and nobody reads long emails anymore.
Exactly.
So make it short, concise, and sweet.
Definitely. And then there's see, like Sarah is mentioning, being able to maintain contact for a long term. This is something that you again need to do. You need to keep maintaining that contact with your existing contacts as well. And Binu is also mentioning small talk as well.
Networking is it takes effort.
Yes, definitely.
It doesn't happen easily. It's not, I mean, it could happen organically, but it requires a lot of effort and a lot of follow-up. So you have to be prepared to do that in order to get to your strategic goals, which we will move forward to.
Definitely. Thank you so much. So moving on, this is what we're going to look at more specifically with the strategic networking side. So you've got the three sections here: prepare, implement, and manage. Now, prepare. Within this section itself, clarify purpose. Why are you networking? What is your goal? It shouldn't just be the case of reaching out for the sake of increasing your followers on LinkedIn. It has to be a two-way process. You have to have that clear process itself. Then you're looking at value proposition, how you come across to other people. What do you want them to hear and what they want to hear from you? Hiba, what are your thoughts on value proposition?
I mean, if you've attended my previous sessions, I always talk about value proposition. It is really your strengths, it is your skills, it is your talents, it's the blend of you. It is what you bring together to these people. You have to think about networking. It's a give and take relationship. You cannot expect to network having something in mind or expecting, let's say, a job, a connection, an introduction, without having to offer something. So what you really want to focus on when you're networking with these people is that you want to identify your unique value proposition, and you want to make sure that these people understand your strengths, understand your skills, understand what you have to offer, so that they can understand your value as a person and the unique value that you bring in. This makes it easier if they want to recommend you for a job, if they want to recommend you for a business, or if they want to refer you. So you want to make sure that when you're starting by first clarifying your purpose, why am I in this room and why am I networking? My first thing that you want to think about is that, why am I here? Is it for a job? Is it for a connection? Is it because I want to build relationships, just because in the future I want to make sure that if I want to change career, I have the right connection? The next thing that you want to do is the value proposition. I want people to understand, what am I an expert in? If I leave the room, how would people think about me? What do they know about me? What skills would they know that I have? What are my strengths, which are two different things. Skills are things that you're really good at, and not only things that you know how to do. Skills are what you really gained, your MBA, your other certificates. So you want people to know what value will you bring into them. And you want to make sure that when you're networking, you have to offer something. And it's part of the connection. It's part of building relationships. So let's say you're talking to someone. I'm going to talk about myself. So if I'm talking to an HR recruiter and I want to ask this recruiter to give me jobs or to kind of work with me, I can offer something that I do, or something which is part of my skills. And I can say, I'm happy to have a session with you, a career session, a coaching session, to talk through, some of the challenges that you're going through. So I would want to ask for something, but before I ask for that, I make sure that I offer something else. So always try to think of, I want people to understand my value proposition, what I can bring to them, and make sure that if there's something that you can offer, make sure to put it on the table while you're networking and to present it. We'll talk about this more in details in the coming slides.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hiba. Also within the preparation side is identify options. So it's like, who do you reach out? How do you find them? And, as Hiba was saying, what do you say? Moving into the implement, the kind of online and offline. We will look at both, but specifically more on the online side, given today's circumstances. And then lastly, manage. How do you maintain those relationships? How do you maintain them in a professional manner? So we'll be able to look at that as well. So moving on to the first part of the preparation, we have the clarify purpose. So you need to do your research. You need to keep looking, do all the research on the market, on the organization, do as much research as you can. I cannot emphasize that enough. You need to do that before you start reaching out to those people that you would like to have conversations with.
And that's what they failed to do, Helen.
Yeah.
When you clarify your purpose, you have to understand, I'm in this room. Let's say you went to an AI event or a blockchain event, right? And you want to connect with these people. So you're here to connect with people who are either speakers, because you are looking for a speaker, or if you're interested in blockchain and you want to learn more about it because you want to invest, then you are looking for a different type of people. If you are in a room seeking career opportunities, then you want to network with the people who can help you perhaps gain more information about the company. So make sure to clarify your purpose. Why are you in this networking session? If I'm here to learn more about, let's say, Google, then before I get into that networking session, I want to make sure that I've researched Google, I've researched the people that are attending the event who work for Google, I've researched their positions, I've researched if I have connections with them, anything in common. So make sure that when you clarify your purpose, and as Helen said, research, be prepared. Never go to an event just unprepared. Do your homework, do your exercise, because when you get an opportunity to speak to someone, you only have a limited time. And people are going to give you their time, which is the most valuable thing nowadays. And you want to make sure that you're going to ask the right questions and the right time. So make sure that you are prepared and why are you in the room? What's the purpose of the networking in this session?
Definitely. And it allows them to see that you have done your research as well. That, that this change is the right for you, or that company is right for you as well. One thing to emphasize is you need to strike a balance when you're reaching out. Don't be too general, so can you tell me about the financial department in HSBC? HSBC is huge. It's a huge organization. So the person that you're reaching out to doesn't know, you might have sent that same question to 50 other people. But at the same time, don't be too specific, because you might find that the person feels uncomfortable with that. And of course, they may not be able to disclose information because, of sensitive data. So something in between. And the best way to think of that is think how you would like to be asked the question. How would you respond? That's the best tip. You don't want them to feel overwhelmed, it's too intense. You need that nice balance between them as well, for sure.
This relates directly to clarifying your purpose. Why are you in the room? Ask the questions that are directly related to what you want. So nothing too general, because this will take 2 hours to explain about the company. Nothing too specific, because sometimes they don't want to share that kind of private information with you. So make sure that when you're asking your questions, you're asking the right questions that are going to give you insights for what you really want for your goal. So this is really important for you to understand how to approach networking, what kind of questions to ask, and make sure to rewrite the questions several times and make sure that if answered, do they really satisfy what you're looking for?
Exactly. Thank you, Hiba. And, you know, I mean, for value proposition, you know, as Hiba mentioned, you need to think carefully. It shouldn't just be a list of questions that you have. It should be a two-way conversation, you know, that you're having with them. It's how you come across, how you build relationships with the person, with the other company, with the client as well, and how you deal with the circumstances. When you're talking about the professional aspects, keep referencing the points, keep referencing on your experience in that area so that they can get to know you as well, for sure. And you can see there that one of the tips from your prior experience, who created a good impression and how, because that's the ones that will be remembered for sure.
Yeah, and this is really very important, focusing on your value proposition, because if you're, no matter what you're asking for, that person that you're networking with, whether it's a job, whether it's a connection, whether it's a referral, whether it's just building relationships, and this should be the ultimate goal of networking. You should think of networking as a relationship building, because the minute you think of networking as, I want to network because I want to get a job, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street. So you want to make sure that when you're networking with that person, you want to show them what you're an expert in. And even if you don't have that relevant straight experience that you're seeking in the company, in a future company, or in a role that you're really seeking when networking with these people, you can always go and refer to some of the modules that you've studied in the MBA program, some of the people that you've worked with within the MBA program. So it's not only relevant to your professional working experience. There are other things that you've done. It's the projects that you've worked on during your MBA with a group of people. So you could have worked on a sustainability project, and you've never really had to work in that role in your professional experience. But you've done research, you've worked with 5 people who come from different companies, different experiences. So that is some sort of indirect experience, and it kind of adds to your value proposition. So make sure when you're reflecting your value proposition, you're thinking 360 degrees, not only the things that I've done, not only what is on my resume. I'm an expert. Ask yourself and ask the people. And if you're unsure, really ask the network around you. Ask your MBA colleagues, what am I known for? What am I an expert in? Ask your colleagues who work with you, what would you recommend me for? So it's really important that when you're networking with someone, you want to show them your value. You want to show them what you can bring into the organization, or what you can bring into this relationship or referral or whatever. So the entire idea of networking, I'm networking to get a job, should be entirely changed. I'm networking to build a relationship, because once you build a relationship with people, people like to connect with people. The minute I know that you want to connect with me because you want something from me, I'm not going to feel comfortable in giving you what you really want. And think about it, if somebody comes to you, approaches you and tells you, hey, Mustafa, I'm interested in a job in your company. Can you refer me? If you don't know this person, why would you refer him? Or would you refer him? Would you?
No, of course not. if I don't know the person.
That was an honest answer. So you want to make sure that you want to build relationships. You want to build trust in order, to kind of, ask for things in the future. And you have to be willing to give before you ask. We'll move to this in the coming slides.
Yes, thank you, Hiba.
Thank you, Helen.
So this does bring us on to identifying those options. Who do you reach out? How do you find them? What do you say? Start with your current network. They already know you. Don't overlook them. This could be managers, colleagues, maybe friends, your MBA peers.
Your alumni groups.
Exactly, yes. Think of the gaps as well. Is it, that in an entire industry that you have gaps in the network, where you may only know a few people? You need to think of these gaps. Then once you have that in mind, once you've got the company in mind or the people in mind, how do you focus on them? So start with people that are on the same level as you, and then work your way up. So that could be maybe if you want to kind of say you're moving from a different department, from one department to the other, and you don't know anyone in this other department. See someone that's on the same level as yourself within that department, within the adjacent team. If it's someone on a senior level, but you don't know them, of course you can reach out to them, but there may be someone that you know already that knows them and they can connect you as well. So focus on, as it says there, on a similar level as you and work your way upwards as well. Now this moves on to the kind of online aspect of it. Given the circumstances that we've all been facing over the last year and a half now, the kind of online focus, online networking, and reaching out online is, it has been the kind of norm, for things. So now that you have the idea, how to make your plan, you've already looked at the gaps, what do you need, for your networking, etc. You've looked at the right people. LinkedIn is one of the ways that you can do that. And certainly within LinkedIn is the alumni feature, where you can use Alliance Manchester Business School or the University of Manchester, and you just need to go in there and click alumni. You don't need to put in 1900, but certainly from the more recent years over the last 5 years or so, because those are the people that would be more recent, from completing their studies as well.
Yeah, I'll share the groups here so that you can join them just in case you haven't.
Thank you, Hiba. And certainly from the offline aspect, many of you would be, perhaps, we're now starting to look at the hybrid in-centre workshops. So have a look during your workshops, at these events as well, during the, the hybrid sessions from that side of it. And Hiba will share the details of these pages within the chat box for you to take note of. So then moving on, you've made that connection, how to start messaging them. Personalize the messages, please personalize. Do not send general invitations. Acknowledge common interests. Where did you meet them? It's fact finding. It's, as Hiba mentioned earlier, it's not just about looking for a job. Please don't say that. That is going to, scare people away, and chances are they're not going to reply to you. Be specific for it. You can see there's a couple of examples on the screen. So you're saying where you met the person, you found, if it was through an event that that you saw them, explain that to them. Just take that bit of time and put in a more personalized message when you reach out to the person as well. And then here we have the active engagement side of things. So this is, that after you've got that connection, after accepting it, be active, share events, share conferences that you've attended, put recommendations in, congratulate people. That could be anything from, you know, that they've got a new promotion, you know, they've started a new job, you know, anniversaries, that kind of thing. And again, you can see some examples there on the screen, just to give you that kind of idea.
And I want to mention here, I want to add, LinkedIn has a special algorithm that it works. In order for your profile to be optimized and to show more for other people, for recruiters, for companies, for everyone, you have to kind of contribute. And there's a rule which is 4-to-1. And I want you to go back to our session on LinkedIn, which is available on our YouTube channel, to attend the LinkedIn session to learn more about how the algorithm works. But the more you post, the more your profile would be optimized. And this is ideally what you want. You want to optimize your profile so people can see you more. People can view who you are, what you do. Now, in terms of writing comments, and this is really, really, really important. When somebody posts an article, you are an MBA student or alumni. You've done critical thinking. Going there and posting, yes, I agree with you, does not show your critical thinking. So you want to make sure if you have read an article and you kind of agree with it, you put in the note on LinkedIn what you liked about that article, what you agreed on, and what you really don't think that is, you know, up to par, or whatever you have controversial thinking. So what you really want to make sure is that when I'm really commenting on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever platform I'm on, I want to make sure that I want to reflect who I am. My value proposition, again, what are you an expert in? If you're really well known for your critical thinking, then you want to make sure that you reflect that in the messages that you're typing on LinkedIn, because agreeing on everything does not really reflect who you are. And sometimes we are really busy, we don't have time. But for those who are seeking career change, are seeking to be noticed by, let's say, Google, and I'm going to cite Google because I've been working with someone for the past year and a half, and this person has been determined to work for this company, and I'm not going to mention the name now. But what he's done is that he has followed them and has followed all people in this company and has commented on every single post that this company has shared. And he made sure that every single post reflects something that he learned from the MBA program, something that reflects what he thinks, critical thinking, again, something, and adding his ideas again on how he can improve things, although this is a giant that he's, you know, proposing ideas. And then finally, after a year and 2 months, somebody noticed that this guy has been posting on our page for the past 14 months. Who is he? So they kind of approached him and then you know, there was an opportunity, and they said we would invite you to get, you know, to talk to you more about this. We know that you're knowledgeable in this and that, you've commented on this and that. And it was, you know, one of the HR managers that I've noticed that this guy is really persistent, he's doing that. So he made it his job. I mean, not every one of us can do this, but there are some people who really dedicate time and energy into what they want, and it works. With perseverance, with effort, it works. So what I'm trying to say is that when you are engaging online, virtually, and this is what we're doing nowadays, we try to engage virtually, we want to make sure what we're an expert in. So if you're an expert in sustainability, you want to make sure that you reflect this in the messages that you're typing. If you're an expert in, I don't know, if you're a speaker, public speaker, whatever you are, whatever value you bring into people, you want to make sure that you reflect that. And I was kind of surprised to see we have some alumni who work in certain positions, and I never knew that this is their role, because the way they kind of promote themselves is in a different way. He is a content creator, he is a creates videos, so does other things in terms of creativity and creating content, and his role is something absolutely different, but that's not how he wishes to promote himself, and that's not how he comments on everything on LinkedIn or on Instagram or on Twitter. So you want to make sure that every time you comment online virtually, you want to show what you are an expert in. So please show us the value of what you've learning, the value of what an expert you are, which field would I recommend you in? So if I say tomorrow, Abu Bakr or Sarah or someone is somebody who's really, really worth recommending for, and then I would be able to say that Marco is an expert in 1, 2, 3, Ibtisam is an expert in this and that, and I would recommend her for this because she keeps on commenting on these things, etc. I think I've said enough here. So
Thank you, Hiba.
We can move in.
We can move on, yes, absolutely. So just active engagement there, as Hiba's been mentioning, your elevator pitch, attend as many events as you can. The Eventbrite, the university events, etc. Just keep on top of all of these sessions as well. So that builds us on to the relationships, the managing side of it. Make recommendations, your introductions, respond to calls for support, and something that may seem kind of small for yourself could mean the world to someone else. Stay in touch, keep in touch with people, follow up with people, follow up on all those conversations that you've had. And then moving on here, the next steps. At the end of the day, always have in your mind, why are you doing this? Why are you networking? What is the purpose? To help you along, revisit your LinkedIn profile. Start following other companies or, Financial Times, companies of interest, etc. The companies that you would like to reach out to connect with. Follow, attend events, you've got, the alumni events, the university events, there's lots of things, coming up on Eventbrite. Keep connecting with your own connections and strengthen any loose connections. Follow up with them, say thank you. And last but not least, for your new connections, identify them, and as we've stressed, make it clear why you're reaching out to them, initially, and to keep connecting with them. And that is everything that we would like to cover. So let me just stop sharing the screen. We can remove this, and if anyone has any questions at all, anything you would like to go over or ask us, please let us know. You can pop your question in the chat box, or you can please unmute yourself and we can help you with that as well.
I can see there's a question from Mustafa. He's asking, would you have any examples of networking within the organization with the senior management? I would say, Mustafa, yes. And this really depends on how you approach senior management. So if you want to move into senior management positions, what you really want to make sure is that when there is a senior management meeting taking place across the board, I want to make sure that I go there, have my coffee and say good morning or hello. I don't know if you're back to face-to-face, if you're working or you're still virtually, working. But I know that in our organization, if we have meetings, we're all invited, and I can just join in any session with senior management and attend that meeting. So it's kind of a choice. If you have a choice, I would say go in, show face, attend all these meetings, because if you want to network with senior management, if you want to be in this position, you better start networking with them. If you have access to these meetings, please do attend them, even if they're not relevant to you. The best thing to do is kind of introduce yourself. I'm here, I'm happy to learn. I want to see if there's anything that I can help to pitch in. So try to always offer your services, even if it's not directly related. So let's say if you're working in a position, you're in finance and you want to move into operations, right? And you better start networking with these people. Network with them. See, the easiest way is to network with people within your organization before trying to transition into an operations manager role in a different organization. That would give you an easier experience. So kind of start networking with these people, and then see if you can transfer that knowledge to move into outside. But networking with senior management is, if it's attainable and you have access to it within your organization, then that's great. If not, then see how you can, if there is a way that you can request to attend these meetings. If not, then perhaps I think you should perhaps start to network with these individuals outside your organization, either online or perhaps ask for coffee meetings to learn more about their experience. And again, as Helen said, the way we approach these people. So if you approach these people in a sense that I want to learn everything from you, teach me, I want to be, it's not the right approach. But if you go to someone and you tell them, I'm really inspired by your career journey, if you can tell me more about how you joined this company, what are the things that you've enjoyed in this position, in your role, what are some of the things that you think are a challenge to you? So it's more about learning about people. And people like to talk about themselves, believe it or not, they do. So when you ask them to talk about themselves, their journeys, how they got into this position or into this role, into senior management, and how you're inspired by them, they're more likely, they're going to want to share that with you. So I would say direct ask if you don't have opportunities within the company that you can attend these meetings. So go and ask for them by the people that you inspire you or by people that you want to be in their positions. That would make it more, easier. If both options are not available, then try to look into your alumni network, try to look into your network. Who are the people in senior management positions that I would like to learn more from their journey or learn more about them, and then start tapping into that network. Let's see if we have play golf with them. Absolutely. If you have a chance to play golf or archery. This is one thing that is really, really, really important before you go into a networking session. And I'm talking about this because we have our career networking session next Monday on the 24th of May. So if you haven't registered, please register to attend. Now, we have 15 corporates coming to this networking event. What you really want to do is that if you're interested in one of these companies, and I'm going to share the company names and the company representatives who are coming from these companies. We will hopefully send the email today. What you want to do is that if you want to network with these companies, first of all, you have to research the company, learn more about what they do, and do I want to be part of that company? That's number one. Number two, look up the people, the company representative who is coming to attend. What do we have in common? Go check their Facebook, check their Instagram, check their LinkedIn, check them out, learn about them, and try to find common ground. What are the things that we have mutual between us? Maybe you find that this person cares about golf and you're a golfer. So that's a common thing between you two. So try to find mutual things that connect you. If that person has attended a seminar or a course or something that you've done, you also want to mention that to them because it's a common ground between both of you. So it's really important, again, to go back and research the companies, research the individuals, try to find if there are mutual things between both you and them. And also a very important tip, just like I said, it's relationship building. It's a give and take relationship. You have to be ready to give. So if you know that these people are looking, for instance, for a content creator, you know that our moderator for the session is a content creator, and you might say, oh, I would like to introduce you to Usama, who's one of our alumni, and you can reach out to me and tell me, Hiba, can you connect me to Usama? Because I'd like to introduce him to this guy. And then, hey, there you are. You've done something, you've given something, you've acted as a connector. And that's something that is really appreciated. When you offer a service, when you know that these people are looking, let's say, for a finance director, you're not interested in finance and that's not on your mind at all, but you know that this colleague of yours, he's in finance and he could fit this role, then you can offer to help them or offer to make that introduction. So always be ready to give something, to offer something in order to take. And just like Helen said, personalize your approach. Focus on shared interests, passions, companies, look at their roles, look at everything, look at their work history. And I'm asking you to become a detective in this sense. Look at everything that they have done. And one thing that I would recommend for everyone who want to network and build a network is to have a strategy. And the strategy is to identify 90 people in your network. Now, if you don't have 90, that's fine, whatever number you have. And I want you to dedicate every day 10 minutes to reach out to at least 3 of these people. And you reach out in a way, it's very simple. Hey, how have you been? It's been such a long time that we last connected. Hope everything is going well with you. That's it. That's all you need to do. It could be a school friend that you haven't got in touch with for the past 25 years. It could be someone, your neighbor. It could be someone you skied with. It could be someone that you haven't seen for the past, since the COVID. So that's how you start to tap into your network. You start to message them, you start to connect with them. If you've read an article that you think, oh, this guy is in retail and this article is going to interest him. So what you want to do is really share that article with him and say, hey, I read this article and I think it's going to be useful for you because you are in this industry, etc. So try to be of value to your network as well. That is really important. And when attending online networking events, and especially for the career networking event next week, please, all of you turn on your cameras, turn it on, and with your names, and have your elevator pitch ready. So when you go into that virtual room to network with this company, you have 20 seconds to pitch yourself, because you are sitting with a recruiter, right? And you should be ready to bring in your value in 20 seconds or 30 seconds tops, but you should have your elevator pitch ready when you want to network. So these are general tips. Let's see if we have any more questions. They keep saying that they are busy, will not to insist. If they're busy, then they're busy. Then you move on. If you've reached out the first time, they haven't answered, that's fine. You can message him again, say in a week, he hasn't replied, then a reminder in 2 weeks. If he hasn't replied, then that's it. Don't waste more time. It's either that they're not interested or that they're really busy and you don't want to waste more time and energy into this.
Sarah, I will share the details of the careers event with you.
Find a common interest. That was, like it or not, lots of senior managers play golf 10 minutes. Again, with the golf, yes. Find common interest. The timing of the event, the career event, it's a morning event. So we chose it to be that time for those who are attending workshops. So it's before the workshops. It's from 8 to 8:30 is networking in Jumeirah Emirates Towers, in-person networking. The event is hybrid. It's online and in person. Now the corporates, because most of them, they're still not allowed to join. They're still all working virtually, so they will be joining virtually. But we will have a networking session for students and for us to meet with us in Jumeirah Emirates Towers at the level 8, right, Helen?
Yes.
Level 8. We will share details closer to the date. But today we will be sharing with you the corporates and the profiles of the panel speakers. Please register if you haven't to attend the session. So it's from 8 till 10:30 in the morning.
It's Marco, it's the 24th of May, the Monday.
Yeah, 24th of May.
Yeah. You're welcome, Marco.
Any more questions related to networking? Anything that we can help you with?
So you'll be sharing the list of the companies will be joining in on the 24th, right?
Yes.
Any tips on how should we sort of interact with them? Because I'm sure there'll be companies which are very different from the industries that that we work in. You would have some from them or some from different industries as well. Any tips on how would you interact with recruiters or for people from different industries itself?
Yeah. So again, as we said, what we really want to focus on is you want to learn more about the company. You want to learn more about the industry. You want to learn more. So you will not network with them because you want to work for Deloitte, let's say. Okay, what you really want to learn from the corporate representative from Deloitte is that how's the company culture at Deloitte? If I want to seek employment at Deloitte, what should I do? What would you recommend? How did you get your job at Deloitte? Especially if you're talking to an alumni. So because there will be alumni hosting hosting rooms, a few, but mostly they're recruiters from the corporates. For alumni, it would be nice to ask them about their journey, how they joined, let's say Deloitte, because we have an alumni coming from Deloitte. So you can ask them about how they joined Deloitte, their journey, if there are any tips that they could recommend, what's the best way to approach recruitment and employability in this company. For recruiters, you can ask about, the company culture. You can ask about what do they look for in candidates nowadays? How's recruitment and hiring? Do they hire off LinkedIn? Do they hire off, should people apply directly to the website? So what you want to learn more is about how to approach employment, how to learn more about the company. What is it a place that you would recommend that people, work for? How do they rate among other companies in terms of employee retention? So general questions that really interest you. But the number one tip is that I don't advise that people go ask for a job. Like, I want to work for your company. How can I do that? Ask for it indirectly. Like, I'm interested in, let's say, HKA consulting, and I know that some of these companies are hiring, and they're going to ask us for CVs of the people who attend. So what you want to do is share your value proposition, what you're an expert in, and be curious. If you really want to work for this company, why do you want to work for it? Ask the questions is like, what is HKA like? How's recruitment? How's the company culture? How's employee retention? Questions that interest you, because my career goals could be different from yours. You could be looking for X, Y, and Z. I could be looking for flexibility, for instance, and that's one of my top priorities. If that's not something that is valuable to you, then that's fine. So look at what are your top career goals? What are the top things that you want to learn about in this company? And then ask in a curious way. Don't ask in a way which is too harsh or too, demanding. Like, approaches really matter, and the way we communicate sometimes puts us in a different what can I say, set altogether. So you want to make sure that the way you approach the recruiters is a curious way. You want to learn more, and if they're interested in you, they're going to reach out to you directly or to us and ask about you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mustafa. Before we have a couple of minutes, if anybody would like to ask a question. We would like to thank you again, and we want to remind you that there is there a session, Helen, now?
There is, yes. It's the Managing Your Study series. It's on value creation. So if you're studying business accounting and finance, that may be of extreme value for you. Absolutely.
Can you share the link just in case
Sure.
somebody wants to join, to register and attend?
Let me see.
It's always useful, to, if you have time, to go and attend
Definitely
these sessions.
I'll pop that in the chat box if you would like to join as well. So my messages.
It's a pleasure having you, Sarah. Thank you for attending. And thank you, everyone. Ibtisam, Mustafa, Marco, Suleiman, Omar, Joseph, Abu Bakr, and Ahmed. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you very much, everyone.